film turned out really well. And before we get into talking about that, I wanted to ask you what really attracted you to this project. Like, did you play the VR game? What really led you to being interested?
Well, I was asked to if I would be interested in taking a look at the pitch, or take a look at the script and pitching on it as a hired gun, really. So the folks at Vanishing Angle were gracious enough to basically, submit my stuff to Ubisoft. They took a look at my first film, Scare Me, and said, "Yeah, his film's good. Let's hear him out." And I read the script and immediately just it inspired me. It made me think of the films I loved growing up, everything from Arachnophobia to all things Coen Brothers.
Yeah, what type of input did Ubisoft have creatively? Were they involved any in the filming process, or did they just kind of let you do what you do best?
They kind of let me do what I do best. I mean, they were certainly, I've only made one film. I've done a bunch of videos for like College Humor and stuff. So they were certainly, I'm sure, rightfully cautious from the get-go. But they did once they realized, oh, this director preps. He actually thinks about what he's doing. They let me more or less do my thing, and yeah, it was an amazing process. It was very, very collaborative from the get-go.
And the film does a great job of balancing humor, and having some scares throughout. Can you talk a bit about your background and how that has helped you and prepared you for this sort of balancing act?
I mean, I came up in comedy. I was a horror film first fan first. I loved Freddy Krueger and Jason and schlocky sort of 80s practical effects and the like. I loved The Thing growing up, but comedy is where I really cut my teeth. Even before College Humor, I was making videos with my friends, putting them up on the internet before Flash existed. So I think there's this thing, not to compare myself, but there is this thing I'm kind of realizing with filmmakers who came up in comedy, like Jordan Peele, like even like John Krasinski, where we understand how to bend genre and we understand, as barometers for certain projects, for genre projects, how far is too far, not to get caught trying to be funny, and what truly even is scary because we play on that spectrum so extremely. But coming from a comedy background, it plays hand in hand with horror, with jump scares, all that stuff pretty well, I think.
I thought the film did such a great job of making everybody seem a little bit suspicious, and you plant some seeds of doubt all throughout. It reminded me of the VR game where you just can't trust anybody, and you never give like enough clues away, but once you find the reveal, it was all spelled out, but not everybody sees it. How was it? Is it difficult giving the audience like just enough so they're curious, but they don't figure it out?
I don't know. I mean, I think I definitely had gone into the project thinking everybody has to have their Agatha Christie moment. Everyone has to, raise one eyebrow and turn their cheek into a dark shadow. Uh, so I think with enough prep and conversation, we did a pretty good job of making everyone look quite mysterious. But time will tell, and I'm glad you think that way. But Agatha Christie style films, ones like this, Knives Out, they can be tough because you don't want to lean too far in any one direction and tip your hat.
Sam Richardson is just fantastic in the lead role. Can you speak to his performance? He's just naturally funny. He's great charisma, and what he was like to work with.
Sam is wonderful to work with. Sam is a comedic actor first and foremost who came in playing at operating on all cylinders because he's not only playing to the top of his comedic game, being as funny and sharp as he always is, but he's also playing vulnerable. He's playing the emotional stakes for real, and I think that is why folks are largely going to be blown away by his talent. He's just operating on at 100%. It's like comedy and playing the drama, and that's what's gonna drive it home, I think.
I really like his character too, because it's not often that a film just has a hero that's a straight up good guy. You know, he's not some brooding person. He doesn't have a deep, dark past. He's just a good guy trying to make the world a better place. You know, from a storytelling directive, like, does that challenge you as a director of, dealing with that type of character?
I don't think so. I think you have to tap into, what the edge is for that type of character. And in this case, it's like I'm upset that other people like don't think being good is good enough. I'm upset that good people don't, or that everybody doesn't do good things for everybody else. Like, can't we all just get along, kind of a thing? And it's something I can identify with. And I think it's both Sam and I think heavily identify with those types of personalities as people who are inherently good or grew up to be, taught to be good. And sort of, can't help but dig your fingernails into your knees when like other people just like go out of their way to be assholes, or go out of their way to push other people's buttons.
And another part of the film I really liked was it was kind of in doubt if there even was a werewolf for a long time. There's a lot of mystery, and the tension keeps rising. As a director, what do you like about that sort of ambiguity that you launch throughout?
I just love films that have satisfying payoffs that feel sort of labyrinthine in their story. Films like The Invitation, even movies like Chronicle, which to pull an obscure one out, ones that you think you're going to have just a good enough kind of a conclusion. Maybe I won't get everything I was expecting, but I end up getting more. I certainly got that with Karan Kusama's film, and that's what made me kind of have to throw my hat in the ring on this film, Mission to Script. There were a lot of kind of twists and turns I didn't quite expect with what I feel is a very satisfying payoff. So hopefully we made another one of those types of films that people kind of think like, oh man, I got everything. The title was suggesting.
With so much of a comedy background for yourself and obviously Sam, was there a lot of improv on scene, and were there a lot of deleted scenes at the end of the day?
There probably are a good amount of deleted scenes, but we didn't have that much time to shoot. So while there were certainly actors who like, and I encouraged folks to improvise. We didn't have a whole lot of time to get much more than the script itself. So I would always encourage play whenever we could. And that's super important, but it's a big cast. We had, only so much time and only so much money. But as a director with a cast like this, with, Sam and Harvey and Rebecca Henderson, etc., you have to, George Basil, and Sarah, all of them, you have to give them room to do their thing, and then inevitably you're going to take those idiosyncratic, hysterical nuances and roll them into the cut. And luckily we had a good amount, but not it's never as much as I think anybody wants.
And then for my last question here, there's always been a sort of a stigma against video game films. And I feel like this is a really good example of that. They can be true to the essence of the source material, sort of do its own thing and turn out really well. With that stigma kind of being out there, were there any worries going on to this project, or, were you just so impressed by the script that it kind of, those went away?
The script eviscerated any concerns I had from the get-go, because yeah, video game movies don't have a great rep. Like I was expecting, Doom with The Rock, but I got, an Amblin Fargo. What can I say? I didn't expect when I opened the script that it would have all basically every flavor of everything I ever wanted to do and love in genre film. So yeah, satisfaction guaranteed.
Thank you so much for your time today, Josh.
My pleasure, Tyler. Thank you, man.